What's going on, everyone? So, we got some updates in regards to the Scream 7 screenplay. Rumors, take it with a grain of salt. As always, don't just assume that this is accurate. But, kind of interesting. So, the screenplay is one of the strongest out of the other 6 films. It doesn't mess around. Everyone knows the stakes are higher, and everyone knows they have to work together to survive. This is per Scream_Spain. Now, again, take this stuff with a grain of salt, right? Although it doesn't really say anything like crazy, just that this is one of the stronger scripts of the 6. I've said this before, I don't think anything will ever beat 96. I think that was as close to a perfect movie as you can. Plus, it's the thing that started it all. I think that, Scream 7 has the potential. One of the things that I've been very critical of the script for Scream 5 and 6, right? The storytelling, the writing, character development, right? I've been very outspoken about it. I am not a fan of it. I just don't think that these writers have really done a good job of properly portraying the story that they're trying to get across, as well as properly developing characters, right? Like, there are things that they've done well, right? And I've talked about, like Ghostface. I really like the intensity of Ghostface, the dark undertones, right? Like, I think from a Ghostface and modern standpoint, they've done a really good job of that. As far as like the characters and the story building goes, I think has been very lackluster, right? I mean, Scream 5 was basically 96 remastered, right? Like, it was essentially, they had shot for shot scenes. And I get that film was supposed to be a homage and all that. It was the Wes Craven callback film, right? The fan film. Okay, fine, but you still failed to deliver on the characters. You still failed to hit. One of the things that Scream 96 did so well was developing the characters. I mean, think of, Randy. Right? People wish to this day that they never got rid of Randy. Stu. People to this day want Stu back. There is like a huge cult following of people that just want Stu back by any means necessary. They don't even care if it works or if it makes sense. They just want him back because Matthew Lillard and the character Stu was so well developed, right? Like, go down the list of these characters, and I really hope that this script for Scream 7 is far better than what we've gotten in the past, because you have a real opportunity here. You have something that we've never had in a Scream movie, which is a family under attack from Ghostface. You have Sydney, you have her husband, Mark Kincaid, which we didn't even know she had a husband, right? Like, that was surprising in and of itself. But you have Sydney, you have her husband and Mark Kincaid. You have children, which, again, we didn't even know about. The stakes are higher for Sydney than they've ever been, right? Like, she's now not responsible just for herself. She's responsible to keep her husband alive. She's responsible to keep her children alive. Right? Like, she has her work cut out for her beyond just, hey, I need to make sure that I stay alive. And I think you have a real uniqueness to this upcoming Scream film, right? Because we're getting back to Sidney Prescott, right? Like, I said a lot of this about Scream 5, right? Because it was like, okay, we're getting all new characters, we're getting all new stuff, right? And they just rehashed 96. Like, I mean, they told us who the killers were in the trailer, right? Like, you knew who the killers were. You knew it was the boyfriend literally in the trailer, thanks to the trailer. And it was just like, it was blatantly obvious. This time, you have an opportunity here to not make it so obvious. You have an opportunity here. If it's like her daughter or something like, or her daughter's boyfriend, I'm going to lose my mind. Right? Like, you have an opportunity here to really cause some misdirection, to really create these red herrings, to really tell a story and draw up and build up and develop characters. Right? I mean, look, the character development was so bad. The consensus in Scream 5 was that Sam was awful. Right? Like, people weren't a fan of Sam. Look, I defended it. I understood it. The more that I watched it, the more that I kind of liked it more and more. But it wasn't great. We had Chad in 2 movies, and we still have no idea who he is as a character. Mindy, we have no idea who she is as a character. Chad, we know he was a jock because he was wearing a Letterman jacket. Right? Like, there was no depth to the character. Again, you look at, like, Scream 96. There was depth to Randy. Right? He was more than just the movie nerd. right? Like you knew, okay, he has this obsession with Sydney. He's a hopeless romantic, right? Like you had things that you don't get from Chad. You don't get from Mindy. It's just, and I really hope that they don't disappoint again, because you have Gail, you have Sydney, right? You have Kevin Williamson back in the fold. That's the one kind of thing that gives me some level of confidence here. Because, the fact that Sidney Prescott, Gail Weathers, and then you have Kevin Williamson, who these are his characters, right? Like Scream 5 and 6, I didn't think did a very good job with the legacy characters. I actually, to their credit, I thought that they did a decent job with Dewey, but the story didn't make sense. Dewey never would have left Gail. Literally, if they even watched Scream 3, they would have known Gail's the one that always left. It was 60 Minutes too. What's wrong with being Gail Weathers, right? Days felt like years in Woodsboro. She was back in Woodsboro. She had writer's block. She had all this stuff. There was a million ways to just easily explain why Gail Weathers wanted to leave and ended up leaving Dewey and going back to New York to do a film or do her show, right? Dewey could have been Broken Man back there. It would have made and fit the story better rather than Dewey turning around and I get the whole idea was that he was a coward. He's getting his redemption, but that's never been who Dewey's character was. It's like these previous writers had no idea on how to write or tell the story of the core characters. It's a problem. My hope is now that you have Kevin Williamson, he can kind of right the ship a little bit and be like, hey, you know what? Sydney would never do that. Hey, Gail would never do that. Hey, we've gone this long without Gail. Like, we should probably get her in the film. Right? Like, Scream 6 did not need Gail at all. There was literally, she served zero purpose in Scream 6. None. Sydney didn't need to be in Scream 5 at all. Again, like, Sidney Prescott in Scream 5, what did she do? Nothing. The only reason she showed up is because of Dewey. Okay, fine. Right? But then she served no point. Like, the tracker, she even turns and tells Gail, like, she could have done that. Like, that was a Gail Weathers move. That was a Gail Weathers thing. Gail could have done that. Her shooting through the doors, that's cool, but, like, that's not something that's so, like, revolutionary that, like, that requires Sydney to be in it. Right? Like, you had, like, a couple cool moments, but even, like, Sydney saving the day and everything, we knew Mindy was alive. So you could have just had Mindy do it. Scream 6, Gail Weathers, like, the only thing Gail did that entire movie, besides should have died, was reveal the shrine room and find it. But Dermot Mulroney's character, Detective Bailey, literally says he was going to reveal it to them. So it didn't even serve a purpose to the plot. It wasn't like that threw a wrench into their plans, right? Like, oh man, they found our headquarters or whatever. No. Literally, Ghostface was going to reveal it to them regardless. They need to do a better job of just building, growing, and writing these characters. Please, for the love of everything. Just, I have a lot of excitement for this film. But I had a lot of excitement for Scream 5 and 6 too, right? And it was lackluster. It was disappointing. And I really hope that that these rumors are true and that this is one of the stronger films out of all of them. I know some people might go, well, Nev would have never came back if it wasn't. Scream 5 wasn't very strong. Scream 5, she didn't even want to do Scream 5. But then they convinced her because of the note and how they wanted to do right by Wes Craven. Literally, she wasn't even going to be in Scream 5. They gave her the script, she was like, nah, hard pass. Right? Like, so, again, and then Scream 6, she wasn't even in at all. And she still went and did Scream 5 and that was, again, I don't think it was a bad movie, but it wasn't great. It was just, again, Scream 6 did the same thing. Oh, make it the parents. Oh, but this time it'll be 3 killers. Oh, and it's the dad instead of the mom this time. Ha-ha. Right? You didn't see that coming. Yeah, you called the good old-fashioned revenge correct, but you didn't know we gender swapped it and added an extra killer. It's like, okay. Right? Like, again, you have an opportunity here. You have a chance to really kind of set yourself apart and even continue to make more of these films. Right? If this movie's good and has success, guess what? They're going to have more of these films. They're not going to just stop. Right? Well, do right by the fans, and the fans will do right by the show, by the movie, right? And, now they have all these potential for spin-offs, doing a Kirby movie and all this stuff, right? Like, that's great. I love to hear that. But you got to do right, right? You know, if you can't tell a convincing story with Sydney and a film built around Sydney, I'm expecting you to do that with Kirby and all these, like, no, right? Got an opportunity here, handle business, do it right. Let's hopefully get a better film. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.